You think you know the terror? Robespierre's green eyes behind wire spectacles, the guillotine's mechanical thud in Place de la Révolution. But there's one name that made even hardened Jacobins step back. Louis Antoine de Saint-Just, the archangel of death. 26 years old when he helped orchestrate the execution of a king. Beautiful face, silk stockings, voice like winter steel. When he walked into the convention, deputies reached for their watches. Time was running out for someone. His own execution didn't just end a life. It tore apart the architecture of revolutionary justice with surgical precision. If you value documented revolutionary history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Simon Schama's Citizens and Patrice Guénef's La Politique de la Terreur. Now, back to the story. March of 17th, 1794. The convention hall in the Tuileries. Saint-Just rises from his seat in the mountain, that high left bank where the hardest revolutionaries perch like birds of prey. He's carrying papers, always papers with Saint-Just. The speech he's about to give will condemn the Hébertists, those ultra-radicals who want to push the revolution past even his limits. His voice cuts through the chamber's tension. No gestures, no theatrics, just facts delivered like blade strikes. The Republic has enemies within, he begins. By sunset, Jacques Hébert and 17 others are marked for death. This is how Saint-Just works, not through passion, but through what he calls revolutionary logic. Every execution must serve the Republic's geometry. Every death must fit his master plan for perfect justice. He's already helped kill the king, helped kill the queen, helped kill the Girondins who dared question Robespierre's methods. Now he's pruning his own allies. The revolution eats its children, but Saint-Just feeds them to it with mathematical precision. Saint-Just was born August 25th, 1767, in Decize, Burgundy, son of a cavalry captain who died when the boy was 2. His mother, Marie-Anne Robineau, remarried quickly. Survival demanded it. The stepfather brought discipline but little warmth. Young Louis Antoine learned early that emotion was weakness. Logic was armor. By 14, he's writing Latin poetry about tyranny and justice. By 16, he's reading Rousseau's Social Contract like other boys read adventure stories. The family moves to Soissons when he's 10. His mother wants respectability, a lawyer's life for her brilliant son. Saint-Just has different plans. He studies law at Reims University, but spends more time in coffeehouses arguing politics than in lecture. Hall's learning procedure. His professors remember a student who questioned everything. Authority, tradition, the very foundations of civilized society. His childhood shapes his revolutionary vision in ways that only become clear later. The early loss of his father creates a hunger for absolute authority. The stepfather's cold discipline teaches him that power requires distance. Love is weakness. Sentiment is dangerous. Only logic survives the test of history. At 18, he writes poetry that scandals his professors, verses about kings hanging from lampposts, lines that imagine nobility's blood watering the tree of liberty. The authorities confiscate his notebooks, but the ideas spread through underground networks. Revolution begins in imagination before it moves to streets. At 20, he steals his mother's silverware and flees to Paris. The theft isn't greed, it's revolution in miniature. Property belongs to whoever needs it most. The police drag him back to Decize, but the seed is planted. Private property is theft. Authority is violence. The old world deserves to burn. The incident teaches him valuable lessons about power and consequence. His mother's tears mean nothing. The magistrate's lectures fall on deaf ears. Only force matters. Only results count. He spends 6 months under house arrest writing furiously. The notebooks from this period, preserved in the Soissons Municipal Archives, reveal a mind turning toward systematic violence as political tool. He writes his first book at 22. Organt tells the story of a sexual revolutionary who conquers Europe through pure will. 20 cantos of pornographic violence wrapped in political philosophy. The hero seduces queens, murders kings, establishes perfect republics through sheer audacity. The book scandalizes Decize, but catches attention in Paris. Here's a young mind that thinks in absolutes. No compromise, no half measures. Just total transformation or total destruction. The book's success brings him 500 livres and entry into radical circles. He corresponds with Brissot, Condorcet, other future Girondins, but he's already moving beyond their moderate vision. They want constitutional monarchy. He wants monarchy's complete destruction. They fear the masses. He sees them as revolution's necessary weapon. The real revolution begins July 14th, 1789. The Bastille falls. Saint-Just watches from Decize, Hungary, for his chance. He publishes The Spirit of the Revolution and the Constitution of France in 1791. The pamphlet reaches Maximilien Robespierre, who recognizes a kindred spirit. Both men see the revolution as moral crusade. Both believe virtue requires violence. But Saint-Just brings something Robespierre lacks: youth's absolute certainty. September 1792. Saint-Just wins election to the National Convention representing Ain. At 25, he's the youngest deputy. The older revolutionaries expect deference. They get ice instead. His maiden speech, November 13th, 1792, sets the tone. The subject, what to do with Louis Capet, the former king. Other deputies debate legal precedents and constitutional procedures. Saint-Just cuts through the noise with surgical precision. But first, he must establish his credentials. The convention meets in the Manège, the former royal riding school. Appropriate symbolism, revolution training, and monarchy's playground. Saint-Just takes his seat in the mountain, the highest benches where the hardest revolutionaries perch. Robespierre sits nearby, watching his protégé with paternal pride. The young deputy's appearance draws attention. Immaculate white cravat, despite revolutionary fashion, demanding careless dress. Hair powdered and curled when most deputies wear it natural. Silk stockings when others sport rough wool. He looks like an aristocrat playing at revolution. The disguise is perfect. Beauty conceals the beast. His voice carries despite his youth. Clear, cold, cutting through the chamber's chaos like steel through silk. He speaks without notes, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on some invisible horizon. The performance is calculated to intimidate. It works. Louis was king of the French. The Republic cannot exist while he lives. I vote for death. No appeals to mercy. No philosophical complexity. Just revolutionary mathematics. One king subtracted equals one republic added. The logic is perfect. The outcome inevitable. But the king's trial reveals Saint-Just's true genius. His ability to transform murder into virtue through pure rhetoric. While others justify the execution through law or necessity, Saint-Just argues it's morally required. A king must be killed not as punishment, but as prophylaxis. The monarchy is a disease. Execution is medicine. The Republic's health demands Louis Capet's death. The speech that seals the king's fate runs 47 minutes. Saint-Just delivers it without pause, without water, without visible emotion. He quotes Rousseau, Plutarch, Brutus. He cites Roman precedent and natural law. But underneath the classical references lies modern logic, scientific reasoning applied to political problems. The king is a virus. The Republic is the body. Amputation prevents infection. The vote comes January 15, 1793. 721 deputies cast ballots. 361 vote for death, exactly one more than required. Saint-Just's vote is the mathematical tipping point. One young man's certainty condemns a king to death. January 21st, 1793, 10:15 in the morning, Place de la Révolution. The former Louis XVI mounts the scaffold. Saint-Just watches from the crowd, notebook in hand. He records everything: the king's final words, the crowd's reaction, the blade's efficiency. Even regicide becomes data for future reference. The execution works flawlessly. One clean cut, 7 minutes from carriage to basket. Saint-Just notes the time in his journal, 10:22. The crowd cheers, but he doesn't join them. This isn't celebration, it's surgery. The diseased organ has been removed. Now the real work begins. Within weeks, Saint-Just joins the Committee of Public Safety, 12 men governing France through emergency powers. But emergency has no expiration. Date when Saint-Just writes the rules. The committee meets every morning at 8 in the Pavillon de Flore. Saint-Just arrives early, stays late. Revolution requires constant vigilance. Enemies multiply in darkness. The committee's meetings follow rigid protocol. 12 chairs around an oval table, maps covering the walls, dispatches arriving hourly from armies and agents. Saint-Just sits at Robespierre's right hand, taking notes in his distinctive script. Every decision is recorded, every vote is counted. Revolutionary justice demands documentation. His desk overflows with correspondence, generals requesting reinforcements, commissioners reporting counter-revolutionary activity, local officials begging for guidance. Saint-Just answers each letter personally in his own hand. The responses are brief but decisive. Promote this officer, execute that general, send more troops here, apply maximum force there. The committee controls France through a network of representatives on mission. These commissioners carry unlimited authority to reorganize, arrest, or execute anyone hindering revolutionary progress. Saint-Just helps select them carefully. Revolutionary fervor matters more than experience. Loyalty trumps competence. Results justify methods. His first major mission comes in October 1793. Strasbourg is wavering. The army of the Rhine lacks discipline. Local officials show dangerous moderation. The committee sends Saint-Just with unlimited authority. His instructions: restore revolutionary order by any means necessary. The journey from Paris to Strasbourg takes 4 days by fast coach. Saint-Just travels with 2 secretaries and a small escort. No ceremony, no fanfare, just business. He arrives October 10th, unannounced. Within hours, the city knows revolution has come calling. Saint-Just enters Strasbourg like an occupying general. He arrests the mayor, the military commander, and 47 other officials within 48 hours. No trials, no appeals. Just immediate imprisonment while he investigates their loyalty. Fear spreads through the city like winter fog. Officials burn compromising papers. Citizens denounce neighbors preemptively. The terror has arrived in Alsace. He establishes headquarters in the former bishop's palace. Irony pleases him. Revolution commands from religion's throne. The building's luxury contrasts sharply with his austere habits. He sleeps on a camp bed, eats simple meals, works 18 hours daily. Comfort is counter-revolutionary. His interrogation methods become legendary. No torture, no threats, just questions delivered in that ice-cold voice. What have you done for the Republic today? Simple question, impossible answer. Hesitation means guilt. Guilt means death. The logic is perfect, the terror complete. But Saint-Just doesn't just kill, he rebuilds. He reorganizes the army with revolutionary fervor, promotes officers based on loyalty, not birth, executes generals who show insufficient zeal. The Army of the Rhine transforms from feudal relic to revolutionary weapon. By December, they're pushing Austrian forces back across the border. Blood and ironwork. Victory validates violence. The transformation is systematic. Old regimental traditions disappear overnight. No more aristocratic officer privileges. No more separate quarters for nobility. Revolutionary equality extends from colonel to private. Merit replaces pedigree. Performance trumps bloodline. Saint-Just personally reviews every promotion above lieutenant. He interviews candidates in his freezing office, testing their revolutionary commitment through careful questioning. What is the Republic's greatest enemy? The correct answer: moderation. Wrong responses earn immediate demotion or worse. He introduces new training methods based on revolutionary principles. Soldiers drill to revolutionary songs. Officers study revolutionary catechisms. Battle tactics emphasize speed and aggression over traditional formations. The enemy must face not just French arms, but French ideology. Total war demands total commitment. His success in Strasbourg earns new assignments. The committee sends him to Belgium, where French forces face coalition armies. Saint-Just arrives in Charleroi, March 17, 94. The situation is desperate. The enemy holds superior positions. French troops are demoralized. Traditional generals counsel retreat. The Belgian front stretches 90 miles from the North Sea to the Ardennes. 80,000 French troops face 90,000 Austrians, Dutch and English. The coalition holds every major fortress. French supply lines stretch dangerously thin. Military logic suggests withdrawal to more defensible positions. Saint-Just counsels execution. General Charles Dumouriez has already defected to the Austrians. His replacement shows similar hesitation. Saint-Just solves the problem with revolutionary directness. He shoots the general himself in front of the entire staff. The Republic tolerates no cowardice, he announces. The next commander performs better. The execution happens at dawn, March 23rd. Saint-Just uses his personal pistol, a gift from Robespierre inscribed with the motto, "Death to Tyrants." The general dies without trial, without appeal, without ceremony. Just revolutionary. Justice delivered with geometric precision. The message spreads through French ranks within hours. Retreat means death. Victory means survival. The mathematics are simple. At Fleurus, June 26, 1794, the strategy pays off. French forces crush Austrian and Dutch armies. 30,000 enemy casualties. Belgium falls to revolutionary armies within weeks. Saint-Just's dispatch to the committee is characteristically brief. Victory belongs to virtue. Terror serves the Republic. The battle lasts 14 hours. Saint-Just watches from a hilltop command post, directing movements with cold precision. He orders no quarter for prisoners, no mercy for wounded enemies. This is ideological warfare. Compromise means contamination. The Republic's survival demands the coalition's destruction. The French deploy revolutionary innovations. Citizen soldiers fighting for ideology, not pay. Mobile artillery moving faster than traditional formations. Mass conscription providing unlimited manpower. But the decisive factor is leadership motivated by terror. French generals know failure means death. Success becomes their only option. But victory creates new problems. With external enemies defeated, internal opposition grows bolder. The terror was sold as wartime necessity. Now moderate deputies question its continuation. They count votes, in secret. They whisper about limits. They forget that Saint-Just never forgives disloyalty. The Hébertists fall first. Jacques Hébert and his ultra-radical faction want to push the revolution beyond even Saint-Just's vision. They demand immediate communism, complete de-Christianization, war against all monarchies simultaneously. Saint-Just recognizes the threat, not to the revolution, but to revolutionary control. Chaos serves no one's interest. Hébert controls the Paris Commune and commands the sans-culottes, the radical working class that provides revolution's muscle. His newspaper, Le Père du Chêne, reaches 40,000 readers weekly with calls for permanent revolution. His supporters staff the revolutionary committees that monitor neighborhoods for counter-revolutionary activity. His faction could potentially overthrow the committee itself. But Hébert makes a fatal mistake. He challenges Robespierre's authority directly. At a Jacobin Club meeting, February 28, 1794, he calls the incorruptible an enemy of the people. The accusation is tactical suicide. Saint-Just begins collecting evidence immediately. The case against Hébert builds systematically. Financial corruption in military contracts, secret negotiations with foreign agents, conspiracy to starve Paris through artificial food shortages. Some charges are true, others are manufactured. All are documented with prosecutorial precision. Truth matters less than utility when revolution requires sacrifice. March 24th, 1794. The Revolutionary Tribunal condemns Hébert and 18 followers. They die together on the same scaffold. Saint-Just watches their execution with professional interest. The blade falls 19 times in 37 minutes. Efficient work. The ultra-left is neutralized. The executions follow choreographed precision. Each prisoner mounts the scaffold in predetermined order. Hébert goes last. Maximum psychological impact on his followers watching from the crowd. His final words are lost in jeers from former allies. Revolution devours its children with mathematical regularity. But Hébert's death creates unexpected consequences. The sans-culottes lose their voice. The revolutionary committees lose direction. Paris grows quiet in ways that worry Saint-Just. Terror works through fear, but fear requires occasional examples. Too much blood creates numbness. Too little invites resistance. Next come the Dantonists. Georges Danton, the revolution's voice of thunder, has grown tired of blood. He calls for moderation, for mercy, for an end to the terror. His followers echo the sentiment. They've forgotten that revolutions don't pause for sentiment. Saint-Just reminds them. Danton presents a different challenge than Hébert. Where the ultra-radical commanded Paris streets, Danton commands revolutionary history. He helped storm the Bastille, helped overthrow the monarchy, helped create the Republic. His revolutionary credentials are unimpeachable. His opposition is, therefore, doubly dangerous. The charges against Danton require careful construction. Simple accusations of moderation won't suffice. Moderation isn't officially treasonous. Saint-Just builds a more complex case. Financial irregularities during Danton's mission to Belgium, secret correspondence with counter-revolutionary agents, conspiracy to restore constitutional monarchy through gradual reform. The evidence is thin, but the presentation is masterful. Saint-Just delivers the prosecution speech himself. March 31st, 1794. 43 minutes of surgical rhetoric that transforms friendship into treason. Danton and Robespierre were once allies, he concludes. Now one must die so the other may save the Republic. April 5th, 1794. Danton mounts the scaffold. His final words ring across Place de la Révolution. Show my head to the people, it's worth seeing. The crowd agrees. They cheer as the blade falls, but Saint-Just doesn't celebrate. Danton's death was necessary, but dangerous. The revolution has killed its greatest orator. Silence is harder to sustain than speech. Spring turns to summer. The terror accelerates beyond even Saint-Just's calculations. The Law of 22. Prairial, passed June 10th, removes the last restraints on revolutionary justice. No witnesses required, no defense permitted, just accusation and execution. The Revolutionary Tribunal becomes a death machine, processing 60 victims per day. The law's language is Saint-Just's masterpiece of legal precision. Article 1 defines enemies of the people as anyone who seeks to destroy liberty or conspires against the unity of the Republic. Article 4 eliminates the need for material proof. Moral proof suffices for conviction. Article 7 denies defendants the right to counsel. The law transforms suspicion into certainty through bureaucratic efficiency. Fouquier-Tinville, the public prosecutor, works 18-hour shifts processing cases. Each trial lasts approximately 20 minutes. Accusation, brief testimony, immediate verdict. The accused rarely speak in their own defense. The law considers self-defense evidence of guilt. Revolutionary justice moves faster than human emotion. The executioner Sanson complains about blade maintenance. Too many necks dull the steel. His assistants work in rotating shifts to prevent psychological breakdown. The basket makers can't keep pace with demand. Revolutionary justice has become an industry employing hundreds of workers in its service. But Saint-Just sees deeper currents. Each execution creates new enemies. Fear breeds resistance. The revolution is approaching a mathematical limit, the point where more death produces less control. He begins planning adjustments, not retreat, but tactical modification. Terror must evolve or risk counter-revolution. His private notebooks, discovered decades later, reveal the shift. Lists of enemies transform into lists of exile candidates. Execution orders become deportation plans. The beautiful killing machine is learning. Subtlety. But subtlety requires time, and time is running out. The Thermidorian conspiracy forms in shadows. Jean-Lambert Tallien, Paul Barras, and other moderate deputies count votes obsessively. They know Saint-Just suspects them. They know suspicion means death. Their choice is simple: strike first or die slowly. July 26, 1794. 9 Thermidor. The convention meets for routine business, but nothing is routine in revolutionary France. Saint-Just rises to deliver what he plans as a surgical strike against moderate opposition. His speech will condemn 12 deputies for insufficient revolutionary fervor, clean cuts, precise targeting, mathematical justice. But Tallien interrupts before the first paragraph ends. Down with the tyrant! The shout echoes through the chamber. Other voices join the chorus. Down with the dictator! For the first time in his revolutionary career, Saint-Just cannot make himself heard above democratic chaos. The beautiful irony unfolds in real time. The man who perfected revolutionaries' rhetoric is silenced by revolutionary democracy. The architect of the terror faces the terror's logic turned against him. The mathematics he worshipped now demand his death. The vote comes quickly. No debate, no defense, no appeal to past service. Just raw democracy expressing its will through raised hands. Robespierre, Saint-Just, Couthon, and 22 others, arrested. The same swift justice they perfected for others now consumes them. They spend their final night in the Hôtel de Ville while Paris decides their fate. Robespierre tries to rally the Commune. Couthon weeps in his wheelchair. Saint-Just sits silent at a wooden table, writing in his leather journal. His final testament to the revolution he helped create and destroy. His last words survive in the archives. The force of circumstances leads us, perhaps, to results we never thought of. I despise the dust of which I am made, and which speaks to you. This dust can be persecuted and put to death. But I defy anyone to snatch from me that independent life I have given myself in the centuries and in the heavens. No apology, no regret. Just cold acknowledgement that dust returns to dust. The mathematics finally balance. If you value documented revolutionary history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Simon Schama's Citizens and Patrice Gunifi's La Politique de la Terreur. Now back to the story. July 28th, 1794. 10 Thermidor. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The tumbrils roll through Paris streets toward Place de la Révolution. The same route they've taken hundreds of times before, carrying other victims to Saint-Just's guillotine. But this time, the archangel of death rides as cargo. Crowds line the streets, not to mourn, but to celebrate. Market women throw vegetables. Children run alongside the carts, shouting insults. The beautiful young man who once terrorized France now faces the democracy he claimed to serve. The irony is perfect, the logic complete. The scaffold stands ready, the same platform where Louis Capet died 18 months earlier. The same blade Saint-Just watched fall on so many necks. The same executioner, Charles-Henri Sanson, who's killed for every regime Paris has known. Revolution changes governments, but keeps its servants. Saint-Just shows no emotion as they prepare him for death. No final speech, no plea for mercy, no dramatic gesture. He's always believed in revolutionary logic, and logic demands this conclusion. The Republic needs his death to survive, just as it needed the king's death to be born. Perfect symmetry. Beautiful mathematics. The blade falls at 4:17. One clean cut. No suffering. The head drops into the wicker basket with the same mechanical precision Saint-Just admired in other executions. The crowd cheers. Church bells ring across Paris. The terror dies with its architect. By evening, the convention is already dismantling the machinery of mass death. The law of 22. Prairial is repealed. The revolutionary tribunal's powers are curtailed. Political prisoners walk free from the conciergerie and La Force. France exhales after holding its breath for 2 years. But here's the brutal irony hidden in the National Archives. Saint-Just's private papers, discovered in 1857 by the historian Jules Michelet, reveal a different truth. The beautiful killing machine was planning to step back from the blade. His final purge lists weren't targets for execution. They were threats he wanted to neutralize through exile and political isolation. The man who perfected the machinery, of revolutionary death was trying to find a way to turn it off. His notebooks contained detailed plans for what he called revolutionary consolidation, a transition from terror to normal governance. He'd calculated that the revolution had achieved its mathematical goals. Further killing would produce diminishing returns. The revolution killed him for planning to show mercy. His own logic finally cut both ways. The architect of the terror died for the crime of moderation, the final perfect irony in a career built on iron principles and geometric justice.